Ella Graham had learned one rule very early in life. Never reveal your full worth to people who measure value in money. It wasn't a quote from a motivational book. It was something her grandmother used to say while adjusting her pearls before walking into rooms full of powerful men. Her grandmother wasn't just wealthy. She was Ruth Hartley, founder of Hartley Technologies, a company that quietly powered half the digital infrastructure most billionaires depended on. And Ella, she was the only heir. But no one knew that, especially not Marcus Whitmore. Marcus thought Ella was comfortable. Mid-level salary, smart, ambitious, a software architect working in cybersecurity. He admired her mind. His family admired nothing. The Whitmores didn't believe in admiration. They believed in leverage. When Marcus first invited her to meet his family, Ella had already sensed something off. The estate is traditional, he had warned her. Traditional. That word usually meant rigid hierarchy, wrapped in old money arrogance. Still, she agreed. Not because she was naive, because she wanted data. And data requires observation. The Whitmore estate stood tall and cold, like it was allergic to warmth. Marble steps, iron gates, staff that avoided eye contact unless spoken to. Ella noticed everything. Security cameras outdated. Driveway lighting inefficient. Too much display. Not enough design. Interesting. Inside, Patricia Whitmore stood waiting. Immaculate posture. Diamond bracelet. Smile that never reached her eyes. So you're Ella. Not welcome. Not it's lovely to meet you. Just assessment. Ella smiled calmly. It's a pleasure, Mrs. Whitmore. Patricia's gaze flicked over her outfit. Simple navy dress. Minimal jewelry. Hair pulled back cleanly. Neutral. Intentionally neutral. How long have you been in software? Patricia asked, as if she were asking about a hobby. 8 years, Ella replied evenly. I specialize in cybersecurity architecture. Patricia hummed. Technical work is very demanding. Marcus always admired intelligence. Always. Past tense. Noted. Before Ella could respond, a sharp voice cut through the foyer. Mother, is this her? Vivian Whitmore. Younger sister. Loud confidence. Designer heels. Expression already bored. Ella turned politely. Vivian didn't smile. Oh, she's simple. Marcus stiffened. Vivian. What? I'm being honest. Ella felt the air shift. This wasn't accidental rudeness. It was testing dominance. Ella didn't flinch. I prefer efficient over ornamental, she replied softly. Vivian blinked. Patricia's lips tightened. Marcus gave a small laugh, like he hoped humor could glue dignity back together. Dinner was announced. The dining room was built for intimidation. Long mahogany table, crystal glasses, too many forks. Patricia sat at the head. Marcus beside Ella. Vivian across. The questioning began subtly. So your parents? Patricia asked. They passed when I was younger, Ella answered calmly. I was raised by my grandmother, and what did she do? Investments. True, just incomplete. Independent woman, Vivian said lightly. How modern. Ella caught Marcus's silence again. He wasn't defending her. He was managing optics. Halfway through dinner, Vivian deliberately used the wrong fork, then looked at Ella. Oh dear, I always forget which one is for salad. You must know. It was bait, a class trap. Ella picked up her glass instead. I focus more on network structures than table settings. Richard Hartley, seated at the far end as a business guest, suddenly chuckled. Low, interested. Patricia shot him a look. Richard's eyes lingered on Ella. Recognition, perhaps, or curiosity. After dinner, Marcus excused himself to take a call. Ella stepped into the hallway to find the restroom. That's when she heard them. Patricia's voice. I don't care how intelligent she is. She has no position, Vivian responded instantly. Alexandra's family brings the merger. This girl brings nothing. Silence. Then Patricia again. Marcus needs to think long-term. Marriage is alignment. Ella stood still. Breathing steady. Alignment. So that's what she was. A temporary inconvenience. Vivian laughed softly. He'll end it. Or keep her until the contract finalizes. Something inside Ella went quiet. Not broken, just clarified. Footsteps approached. Marcus. He looked tense. Everything okay? He asked. Ella studied him. This was the moment. Your family values strategic marriages, she said calmly. He hesitated, too long. They're old-fashioned. That wasn't my question. He exhaled. Ella, don't make this difficult. Don't make this difficult. Translation, Don't disrupt the plan. Ella smiled. Soft, controlled. Of course not. Later that night, as they prepared to leave, Patricia approached her again. I hope you understand, she said gently. Poison wrapped in silk. Our world requires certain compatibilities. Ella met her gaze. And what do you think I lack? Patricia didn't blink. Foundation. Interesting. Ella nodded slightly. Thank you for your honesty. On the drive home, Marcus reached for her hand. You know they'll warm up to you. Ella looked out the window at the city lights. Warmth wasn't what she was calculating. She was calculating leverage. Back at her apartment, she opened her laptop. Secure server? Private network. She accessed a name she rarely used. Hartley Holdings. Whitmore Industries appeared in a smaller subsidiary report. Declining revenue, overexposed contracts, risky merger talks. So that's why Alexandra mattered. It wasn't love. It was survival. Ella leaned back. Her grandmother's voice echoed in memory. Let people show you who they are when they think you're beneath them. The Whitmores had shown everything. Now the real question wasn't whether Marcus loved her. It was whether he believed she was small. Her phone buzzed. A message from Marcus. Dinner wasn't perfect, but we'll fix it. Trust me. Ella stared at the screen, then typed back. I do. She placed the phone down and smiled. Because the test had officially begun. They thought she was nothing. That was their first mistake. The engagement party was designed to look like celebration, but it wasn't. It was a transaction. Crystal chandeliers shimmered over the Whitmore ballroom. Investors mingled. Champagne flowed. A string quartet played something expensive and forgettable. At the center of it all stood Marcus Whitmore. Confident, composed, prepared to announce his engagement to Alexandra Vale, daughter of Vale Capital. Ella watched from the staircase. Uninvited, unannounced, unbothered. Gasps rippled quietly when guests noticed her. Patricia Whitmore stiffened first. Vivian's smile dropped second. Marcus turned last. And when he saw her, for half a second, a pure panic. Then control. Ella, he said, forcing a polite smile. I didn't expect you. I know, she replied calmly. The room grew quieter. Alexandra, tall, elegant, wearing a diamond that screamed merger, stepped slightly closer to Marcus. And you are? Alexandra asked. Someone who believes in alignment. Ella answered softly. Patricia approached immediately. This isn't appropriate. Ella tilted her head slightly. Neither was your honesty that night in the hallway. Silence. Marcus's jaw tightened. We talked about this. Yes, Ella said. We did. She stepped fully into the ballroom now. Not rushed, not emotional, just present. Ladies and gentlemen, Patricia announced quickly, attempting damage control. We're about to begin the formal announcement. But another voice interrupted. Calm, measured, familiar to every investor in the room. I believe I should begin instead. All heads turned toward the entrance. Ruth Hartley. No announcement. No warning, just presence. And when she walked in, power shifted. Whispers moved through the crowd instantly. Is that... It can't be... That's Hartley. Marcus' face drained of color. Patricia's hand tightened around her glass. Ella didn't move. Her grandmother walked past the investors, past the Whitmores, and stopped beside her. Then she did something subtle. She took Ella's hand. This, Ruth said smoothly, is my granddaughter. The air changed. Not tense, heavy. Patricia recovered first. Mrs. Hartley, what an unexpected... Alignment, Ruth interrupted gently. I heard that word used recently. Vivian swallowed. Marcus stared at Ella like he was recalculating every memory. Ruth continued, her tone calm but surgical. Whitmore Industries has been seeking acquisition protection for months. Your merger with Vale Capital isn't expansion. She let the silence stretch. It's rescue. A few investors shifted. Alexandra's father went still. Patricia forced a smile. I'm not sure what you're implying. Ruth's eyes sharpened. I don't imply. I verify. A screen at the end of the ballroom flickered to life. Whitmore Industries' financial projections appeared. Declining margins, risk exposure, contract losses. Gasps this time weren't subtle. Marcus stepped forward. This is confidential. No, Ella said softly. Now she moved. Finally, this is structural weakness. All eyes shifted to her. Her voice didn't shake. For 8 years, I've designed cybersecurity frameworks for corporations twice your size. 3 months ago, I audited a subsidiary breach linked to Whitmore infrastructure. Patricia looked confused. Marcus looked cornered. Ella continued, you were exposed. Your data vulnerabilities alone would cost you half this. Merger if publicly disclosed. Silence swallowed the room. Alexandra slowly stepped away from Marcus. You said your systems were secure, she whispered. Marcus couldn't answer. Ruth looked at Patricia calmly. Foundation, you called her. Patricia said nothing. Let me clarify, Ruth continued. Hartley Holdings currently owns controlling shares in 2 of your largest suppliers. The room reacted again. And as of yesterday, Ruth added smoothly, we finalized silent acquisition of your emergency credit backers. Now it wasn't whispers. It was shock. Marcus looked at Ella like he was seeing her for the first time. You knew? He asked quietly. Ella met his gaze. I needed data. His voice cracked slightly. So what is this? Revenge? She almost smiled. No, education. She stepped closer to him, lowering her voice just enough to feel personal, but loud enough for the room. You didn't choose alignment. You chose advantage. He tried to speak. She continued. You measured me without knowing my scale. And that hurt more than exposure, because it was true. Patricia straightened, desperation slipping into her tone. What exactly do you want? Ruth glanced at Ella. This was her move. Ella inhaled slowly. I want nothing from you. Confusion. You assumed I needed your name. Your status. Your approval. She looked around the ballroom. I was testing something. Marcus whispered. Testing what? Character. That word landed heavy. You failed, she finished gently. Alexandra removed her engagement ring. The soft sound of diamond hitting crystal echoed louder than shouting ever could. I don't align with instability, Alexandra said coolly before walking away. Investors began murmuring rapidly. Phones came out. Damage control was now impossible. Patricia's composure cracked. You humiliated us. Ella's expression stayed neutral. No, I revealed you. Marcus stepped closer. Ella, please. And for the first time, he looked small. Not poor, not weak, small, because he had tried to negotiate love like a contract. She studied him carefully. I would have stood beside you, she said quietly. If you had stood beside me. That hit deeper than the financial exposure. Ruth turned toward the exit. Come home, she told Ella softly. Home, not a state, not empire. Home. Ella took one last look at Marcus. You thought I brought nothing. She paused. I brought options. Then she walked away. No dramatic music. No yelling. Just silent swallowing. The Whitmore ballroom as their carefully constructed image collapsed. Under its own arrogance. Outside, cameras were already gathering. News spreads fast when power shifts. Marcus remained frozen in the center of the room as investors surrounded his parents. Vivian stared at the financial projection screen like it had betrayed her. Patricia finally understood. They hadn't lost a merger. They had misjudged leverage. In the car, Ruth glanced at Ella. You're calm. Ella looked out the window at the city skyline. They showed me who they were. And you showed them? Ella allowed herself the smallest smile. Scale. Her phone buzzed again. Marcus. She didn't answer. Some lessons don't require discussion. They require distance. And somewhere inside the Whitmore estate, for the first time in decades, silence felt expensive. 3 months later, Marcus Whitmore finally understood something terrifying. Losing the merger didn't ruin him. Losing her did. Whitmore Industries survived, and barely. Investors reshuffled. Contracts were renegotiated. The media cycle moved on. But Marcus didn't. Because every boardroom he walked into felt colder. Every decision echoed with the same memory. I would have stood beside you. If you had stood beside me, that sentence haunted him more than the financial reports ever could. Meanwhile, Ella didn't look back. She didn't need to. Hartley Holdings quietly expanded. Strategic acquisitions. Clean growth, no drama. No press theatrics. Power doesn't shout. It moves. One evening, as Ella reviewed a proposal in her grandmother's private office, her assistant hesitated at the door. There's someone here asking to see you. Ella didn't need to ask who. She already knew. Marcus stood in the lobby when she entered. No designer arrogance. No polished confidence. Just a man who had finally realized what he miscalculated. You look different, he said softly. I am, Ella replied. He swallowed. I didn't come to argue. Or negotiate. She stayed silent. For the first time in my life, he continued, I made a decision that wasn't strategic. I thought choosing security was smart. And? She asked calmly. And I chose wrong. The vulnerability in his voice was real now. No audience, no investors, no performance. I loved you, he admitted. Ella studied him carefully. You loved me, she corrected gently, when I was convenient. That truth didn't sound angry. It sounded final. Marcus stepped closer. I was raised to calculate value. I didn't know how to choose someone over advantage. And now I know what it costs. Silence stretched between them. This wasn't about pride. It was about alignment. Ella walked slowly toward the window overlooking the city. When your family called me foundationless, she said quietly. They weren't wrong. Marcus looked confused. She turned to face him. I don't build my life on other people's approval. That's why she could walk away. Marcus exhaled, defeated but honest. Is there any chance? She held his gaze. For a moment, the past flickered there. Dinners, laughter, late-night coding sessions, plans. Then clarity replaced nostalgia. Some losses, she said softly, aren't meant to be recovered. Not cruel, not dramatic, just true. Marcus nodded slowly. And for the first time, he respected her without underestimating her. I hope you find someone who stands beside you, he said quietly. I already have, Ella replied. He frowned slightly. She smiled, small, powerful. Myself. That was the difference. He had needed alignment through marriage. She had found alignment within. Marcus left without another word. No explosion, no revenge, just consequence. As the elevator doors closed, Ella felt something lighter than victory. Peace, because in the end, the Whitmores lost more than a merger. Marcus lost the one thing money could never secure. A woman who would have chosen him freely. And Ella? She didn't destroy them. She simply refused to shrink. And sometimes, that's the most powerful ending of all.